So I had an interesting chat with advocate Ike Khumalo, quite popular on social media. He was one of the guys accused of being an instigator of the looting and rioting in June, July 2021. He says he's been watching a lot of my videos and he's been listening to a lot of my talks. And he says he's finally starting to get it. He's been an activist in the townships. He's been very pro-black. He was somewhat involved with Operation Dudula. And he was just telling me that, he's kind of figured out now that almost all of the activists are actually in it for themselves. Some of the people that we think are heroes and are community leaders are only there to see how they can benefit, whether they are partnering with politicians to get paid, whether they are partnering with business people to get paid, or there's some type of benefit that they are there to get. And Advocate Ike Khumalo was saying, this is why a lot of these so-called activists jump from initiative to initiative and are not stuck with one initiative because they move to wherever the money may be. I'm reminded I used to be part of a WhatsApp group run by Ronnie McKenzie, who is a commercial farmer in the West Rand of Gauteng. Open Politics, amazing WhatsApp group, a lot of great leaders in the country, politicians, business people, people in the media and other thought leaders and other voices out there. And I remember in spending time in the WhatsApp group, one of the things I did say was my realization in this country, and not just in this country, but anyway, is that activists that make a lot of noise, and this activist includes politicians, are constantly looking for the best and the biggest master to adopt them. They are almost like a dog that's barking, and this dog barks as loud as it can so that the richest, fanciest master who has the most resources will recruit them and hire them to come and gatekeep for others. I've said before that I believe this is what the ANC has become. Came up when it started with Ojonglang, Balele Dube, and Abo Pixley, that there were these intellectual, educated black people who want to be brought to the table, to be included in the discussion on how to run this country. Not necessarily to decolonize South Africa, not necessarily to run it in an African way or to uplift all black people, just for them, these elite, intellectual, uppity black people. And today we see it, even when apartheid ended and the CODESA negotiations took place. When you look at the agreements that were made with the apartheid government and the incumbents of the time, you realize that a lot of the leaders have gotten their reparations. A lot of them have got land, they've got farms, some have game farms. A lot of them were given shares in apartheid and colonial companies. A lot of them are rich today and live in fancy homes in the suburbs. Their children go to private schools. They have fancy medical aids and they drive nice cars. They have realized the South African dream. But for the masses of black people who fought, who died, who were jailed, who went into exile, who joined Umkhonto weSizwe, a lot of them have not received that. So you realize that these guys made a lot of noise and they unfortunately used the masses so that they can have the privileges they have today. And Advocate Ike Khumalo was saying he sees much of the same in the activists that we have today in townships. And he was saying he believes that I've convinced him to move from a race agenda to a values agenda, which is what penalism is about. It is about transcending race. It is about transcending gender or sex. It is about transcending nationality and finding the animal inside someone. And that is your value system. The sad thing for me is that a lot of people don't know what their values are. As far as they are concerned, their race is their value. But race is not a value. Your skin color is not a value system. What do you represent? Because I can tell you now, there are a lot of black people who share your race as a black person, but their values are different. They want to make money by any means necessary. They are willing to oppress whoever they can oppress. They are criminals and are willing to steal. They are willing to work with other races, even if those races may be detrimental to the black race. Do those people fundamentally share your values? And the answer may be no. You guys may not worship the same God. You guys may not go to the same churches or the same mosques. They may not have the same ideologies when it comes to family or when it comes to how to take care of a woman or a man or how to raise your children. Do you raise your children to be respectful? Do you raise your children to be able to serve society? Or do you raise your children with a chip on their shoulders where they have this entitlement that the world owes them something? We do not share the same values, and race is not a value proposition. It was one of the arguments I tried to make to a lot of white people in South Africa, a lot of Indian people in South Africa that I come across. For some white people, they are split. There are white Jewish people whose value systems are held by the Jewish faith and the Torah. There are white Afrikaans people who may be Christian, but even in their Christianity, they still split. Some of them want a white Afrikaans dominant ruling class in South Africa. Some of these white Afrikaners want to work with other races. Some of them believe in the family unit. Some of them want to travel the world and be rock stars. There are white English people that have different values. Some are atheists, some are religious, etc. Same with the Indians. Some of them are Muslim, so their values may be aligned with Muhammad, Allah, and the Quran. But then you have got Hindus in the Muslim community who have got their own beliefs. I've met Indians who are Christian. I've met Indians who are atheist. They have different value systems. And look, religion is just one of the ways to measure your values, of which a lot of black South Africans claim to be Christian. But if you look at their lifestyles, they are constantly drunk, which is a sin in the Bible. A lot of them disrespect their elders, which is a sin in the Bible. A lot of them fornicate, which is cheating, committing adultery in their marriages. A lot of them have sex before marriage, which is a sin in the Bible. So you look at their value system and you say you claim to be a Christian, but you're not living Christian values. A lot of them claim to be African cultural, but even in African cultural beliefs, you do not have sex before marriage. You do not go out and support your enemies and your oppressors. What is your value system? Who do you give your money to? Who do you give your labor to? Which God do you worship? How do you treat other people in society? Do you believe in hard work? Do you believe in sharing, Ubuntu, so to speak? Or do you believe in accumulating and hoarding and becoming as rich as you can, no matter what it takes? As 50 Cent would say, get rich or die trying. Until black people understand, black people in South Africa and elsewhere, that it is not about race but value system, you will see that a lot of the black people and black leaders that you are following do not share your values and actually emulate the values of colonizers, of oppressors, of thieves, of people that are there to exploit you. They become rich, they become successful and famous, and you end up worshiping them. Idol worship, worshiping people that are not helping you and your community. I've said before, you need to follow the money. Follow where the money is going and what the agenda is. Number two, look at your leaders and ask yourself, what have these people done for me as an individual? What have these people done for my family, for my community? And who are these people serving? When you look at the work that the African National Congress, that the Economic Freedom Fighters, that other black leadership groups have done, when you look at the work they've done, who has made the most money? Who has become richer in this country? Who has benefited more? Who has been protected the most? Who has gotten the best education and opportunities? Is it black people? And the short answer you may find is no. Marcus Garvey struggled. He went and he built something amazing, but he failed because he was working with black people that did not share his values. And he thought race was enough. The same with the Nation of Islam, which is doing really well in America. But until you share the same values, some of them will have splits and divisions. Sonto la Manazareta, the Shembe Church in South Africa, the ZCC Church under Uli Khanyane, and you look at all these political parties, that's why there are always fractional battles. That's why the Pan-Africanist Congress, the PAC, has struggled. That's why Inkatha Freedom Party is not liked by certain black people in South Africa. That's why the ANC has had breakaways like COPE. That's why other groups, let's say the Democratic Alliance, has seen other leaders leave to go and create Action SA or whatever Musi Maimane has created now. I think it's BOSA, Build One Unit, Build One South Africa, I think it's called. So we do not share the same values. Once you have identified what your values are, you can then publicize them as I have in my Penwellism principles, which are my values, and then you will go out and find people that are like you. If they happen to share a race, great. If they happen to share the same sex, gender, great. If they happen to share the same nationality, great. But if they do not, as long as they share your values, you will know that I will win with these people because these are my people. This is actually my tribe. This is my animal, wolf, lion, pack, or gang. Fundamentally important. And I want to send a shout out to Advocate Ike Khumalo for having these conversations and engagements with me. We have them privately, as I have private conversations with a whole lot of other great thought leaders and other just general leaders in South Africa. Pen you out the black pen, something to think about. As long as you're holding on to race, you will not win. and you'll keep chasing this fake unity that doesn't even exist anywhere else. Ukraine and Russia are in conflict. Those are white people. If you look at North and South Korea, they have had conflict. Those are Asian groups that look the same. If you look at some of the more Indian, Sri Lanka, Pakistani type spaces, there have been a lot of conflicts there as well. Same racial group. If you look on the African continent, if you look at Rwanda with the Tutsis and the Hutus, for example, if you look at what's happened with the Ndebeles and the Shonas in Zimbabwe, if you look at what we call tribalism in South Africa, everywhere you go, race is not enough. You've got white Jews, you've got white Afrikaners, you've got white British people, you had the white Spaniard at some point, the white French. We are not homogenous, and race is not enough. Yes, a race may unite when they are oppressed by another race. That's how apartheid and the struggle against apartheid was fought. But it was saying the apartheid government is discriminating against race. So let's come as one race and fight them. Now that you have supposedly dismantled that, let's now move away from race because we fixed that, and let's work towards value systems. The apartheid government was largely white Afrikaans. It wasn't just all white. If you look at the British colonial system that ruled us, it was white, English, British, not necessarily all white. That's why white Afrikaners were treated as second-class citizens. Today we have tribalism, today we have xenophobia, especially Afrophobia, where we look down on other black Africans from the continent, but we do not look at the values. Do we share values with this person? You will go and protect a black South African, and this person will go and destroy you, will go and sell you down the river, will not support you because they share a race, but they do not share your value system. Cheers.